Hi, this will be a unboxing and review of something that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. If you've been following either Kevtris or GameTechUS on YouTube or on any of the popular retro gaming forums, then you will probably have seen this and know what it is. Inside this box there is supposed to be, among other things, a HDMI board for the NES. So let's see if everything arrived as it should. The box looks, a little bit posty. So let's hope for the best. Now, I don't have a stand for this camera, and I'm actually holding my phone at the moment, so I won't be able to do this, especially with my left hand. So I'm just gonna get back to you when the box is opened. Alright, so I got the box open here. Let's see what we got inside. Alright, so what could be in here? Actually, I have no idea if I'm going to get this open with one hand. Be right back. Alright, let's see what we got here. Ta-da! That is actually the first time I've seen one of these in real life. This is the second generation Nintendo Entertainment System. It's the original NES in a new kind of, put the carton there so you'll see it. This wasn't sold in Europe as far as I know. Nobody who I ever knew had one of these. So what's special about this one? Well, this is straight from GameTechUS, and it has an HDMI port on the back. Well, it looks like it actually survived the flight across the Atlantic pretty well, and the unit seems to be in great condition. It's a little bit yellowed in the plastic. You can see there's been some kind of sticker here, but otherwise great condition. This is from the second week of eBay listings from GameTechUS. The initial batch of, I think it was like 8 of them, were in a little bit better condition than this. At least as far as the yellowing in the plastic goes, I think. But this one seems to be in great condition as well. I paid $375 for this, plus shipping. $375 for an NES might seem a lot, but actually these top-loader ones go for quite much, just the way they are. And the work that Kevtris has put into this board, and also Jason from GameTechUS, is amazing. And the price of the HDMI board itself is going to be, I think, $100. And the job of modding it, I mean, I don't have a desoldering gun, so it would take me forever just to get the chips out and put the things that you need inside. I could do it, but I'd rather have it all done sort of professionally by Jason. So I think it's quite a good price, $375. I don't know, the first batch went for about, I don't know, $500, so I think that's a little bit much. I was actually bidding on the first batch, but I think my final price was around $450, so I didn't get one of those. And one thing that's kind of sad with this first round of boards is that, if you can see that the HDMI port is sits pretty deep in there. So that means that a regular HDMI cord will have to be modified, because the plastic here needs to be cut off, because this one doesn't go deep enough to make a connection. So I'm gonna have to be using the knife again. Well, that went actually better than expected. It was quite easy. I just I made a cut around the plastic and just took this much off. So now hopefully the connector will fit and everything should be fine. Kevtris's board actually does a little something else as well. If you look inside here, I don't know if you can see that, but those 3 metal prongs sticking off to the right is actually the 7805, the voltage regulator. That has been disconnected because right now the power will be fed through the HDMI board and to the rest of the system, which means that there is a new voltage regulator that's much more modern and more efficient and everything. So hopefully that will work well. I don't have the original NES power supply. I do have a 12 volt supply that I think is going to work. It works on my regular Nintendo, so I hope it does work here. So let's plug this into the TV and see how it works. Alright, so we got everything hooked up and let's see. Yay! Turns on. Actually, that is not official. That is a mod by GameTechUS. He's put an LED in there, so I don't know what I think about it. It actually looks better in person than it does on camera. The camera doesn't pick it up at all. Well, we got something. So I'm using my power pack to test this out, just so I can test some different games. And I also live in PAL land, so all my games are PAL. So this will let me run some NTSC games, 60 Hz power. Alright, so this is Castlevania running on my 60-inch plasma here. So yeah, the image is quite big, and well, the video quality is actually amazing. So all the pixels are pixels, and yeah, all seems to run fine. No problems whatsoever. Right, so if you press left and select at the same time, that will bring up the menu for the Hi-Def NES adapter, the HDMI board, and there you'll have some settings. You can change the resolution. You can change the stretch on the horizontal axis, so you can get more 16:9 ratio or whatever ratio you want, actually, because this will let you set exactly what you want. I'll set it at 4:3 for now, because that's how I like it. You can set some various scaling options, so you can, I don't know if you've ever used an emulator, you will know what these are. So basically they will try and scale the 240p resolution of the NES up to 1080p in a more nicer way than just nearest neighboring. But I don't really like how the scaling looks, so I'm going to use the default. Let's see, scaling. None. You can enable scanlines. The only actually correct option is the NES setting, which will produce one scanline per row of pixels that the NES puts out. These other ones are like, they don't follow the pixels, they're just scanlines for the sake of scanlines, which looks really bad, actually. The problem with the NES one is that since this is a 1080p resolution, that's not a multiple of 240, so the scanlines will look not evenly spaced. The remedy for that is to go to the resolution option and change your resolution to 720p, which is a multiple of 240, and then you can set NES scanlines, and they will be evenly spaced. The problem then is that the TV will do some scaling, and that might introduce some lag. Depends on your TV and how well it scales. Maybe the scanlines won't look evenly spaced. Interpolation, I have no idea what that does. So you'll have to check out either Jason, GameTechUS videos, or Kevtris' videos. They have lots of videos on this. You can change the palette. FCUX palette is the default one, and I think it looks pretty okay. And you can do some cropping options, change the position, and the despeckle option is sort of, if you see something weird in the image, you can try and change the despeckle to something else. So I don't have the problem right now, so I think phase 0 will be fine for me. You can do some audio options. You can overclock. You can set the hotkeys. You can do some other cool stuff. Save the settings, etc. Well, I think it looks great. Let's try some other games. Okay, so this is Super Mario Bros. 3. And one thing that I've noticed is, I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, it doesn't look like it does, but the top rows of pixels here, let's see, it's actually jittery. So every second frame will be 1 pixel to the left and then 1 pixel to the right. Maybe I should upload this in like 60 FPS so this actually shows. But if you don't, you see that? That's supposed to be 1 row of pixels, not 2. Yeah, and the top 3 lines of pixels are doing this. And it seems to be on every game that I try, anything. Well, you can get around that by going into the menu. Let's see, whoops. Video options, and crop out the top left, the topmost pixels. And you can actually just crop out 3 pixels, and that will black out those pixels. So you don't have to see them, but still sad. I don't know why that is. It's probably because of the NES skipping 1 dot every second frame or something like that to get the right timing. Maybe the HDMI board doesn't care about that and just gets the pixels shifted. Too bad. Otherwise, everything looks great. This image is huge and awesome. Can you see how big that guy is? Woo. Yeah, and the audio, it's actually all digitally produced in the FPGA in the HDMI board, so it emulates all sound channels, even ones that are on the Japanese cartridges that have extra sound channels. It can emulate those as well, and it all goes out digitally through the HDMI. Sounds great. This is pretty cool. This is a game that I made a couple of years ago, and I've never seen it on my big screen. Woo. Seems to work fine. And this is my version of Flappy Bird that people are complaining is too difficult. Let's see if I can play it with one hand while filming. Woo. This will also test the latency a bit, at least with my TV. Now the HDMI board doesn't have a frame buffer, it just buffers like one scan line at a time and outputs it to the HDMI. So the lag should be like super low. Whoops. Yeah. Well, you can see here. You see that? So in every game. Yeah. Oh, it actually gets pretty warm. Wonder if that is because I'm using 12 volts and if that's the regulator or something, or actually it feels pretty warm over here. I don't know exactly where the chips are in these. Well, my final thoughts is that it's awesome. I can play NES games on my big screen with minimal lag, great picture, lots of options for resolution, scanlines, etc. I won't actually use scanlines or scaling options, but they're there if you're into that. It's cool to actually have a top loader. I haven't had a top loader before. I've actually never seen one before. So that's awesome. The recessed HDMI port, I'm not a big fan of it, but it works. There will be another version, I think Kevtris has said, or GameTech, I don't know. They've said that they are going to produce one with the HDMI port sort of on the lip on the board, so it does stick out. These were produced because they were made to fit inside the analog NT, I think. So they had to have the port like that. Doesn't bother me too much. But there will be versions in the future which don't have that. So yeah, is it worth $375? Well, for me it is. I don't know. I don't care that much about the price. And the board itself, if it costs $100, if you want to do it by yourself, or if you want to get somebody else to do it, it's a fair price. It will fit in the front loader as well, and I think they should be, at least they're compatible with everything that uses the NES PPU and CPU, so they should work in a Twin Famicom, a Famicom, I don't know, the Titler, what's it called? Should probably work on that too. M82, anything. It does work on both PAL and NTSC machines, but there will be a new firmware version coming out with a little bit more scaling options. Some of those options will not work on the PAL version, I've heard. Well, yeah, this will be great for playing NES casually on my big screen. I will still keep my old setup, which is my PVM and the front loader NES, which is great for testing out what things looks like on an actual CRT. So final thoughts, well, it works great, looks great. It works like a professionally made thing. It just plugs in and works. So awesome. Except for that thing with the top scan lines are sort of jittery. It looks great, sounds great. And yeah, when they fix that, this will be sort of like the best way to play your NES games on the big screen, on the flat screen. Kevtris is also doing some updates to the firmware to fix some minor issues. There were some games that have been reported as not working. It should be compatible with like everything, but there are some games in the way that they read the controllers and stuff. Those will be fixed in future firmware updates. And the way that you update firmware in this is really neat. You get an NES ROM, you put it on the power pack or the EverDrive, or you burn it to to a repro card or something. Plug it in. You go into the menu and select update, and it will actually read the firmware update straight from the NES ROM. So that's a really neat way that people can update their firmware. If you're on the EverDrive and you want to use it with this, you need to be on firmware 3 or lower, at least until Kirkz, or whatever his name is, actually updates his firmware again to fix whatever broke in the later versions. So downgrade your firmware and your EverDrive should work again. Yeah, great piece of hardware, awesome. I will now go play some games. Bye.